What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts World. We are staying in Australia tonight. We're going to be checking out what is Anzac Day. Very much excited to check this one out. We ain't going to waste no more time. We're just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it. Oh yeah.
Every year in Australia, we commemorate a very important day in Australian history known as Anzac Day. At this time of the year, you might sometimes bake Anzac biscuits or stand in silence to reflect and remember Anzac soldiers. But do you know who the Anzacs were and why it is important that we commemorate this day? In 1914, the world was in turmoil at the outbreak of World War I. Though Australia and New Zealand were considered young nations, both of these countries came together to help their British allies in the war.
We're going to take a pause there.
These soldiers were called Anzacs, which stands for Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. On the 25th of April 1915, the Anzacs travelled to a place called the Gallipoli Peninsula to capture the Turkish capital of Istanbul, known then as Constantinople. However, they were met by a fierce defence from Ottoman Turkish soldiers. What they had hoped to be a quick campaign turned out to be 8 months of brutal warfare.
Damn.
8 months after their arrival, the Anzacs evacuated from Gallipoli, but not before many soldiers had given their life or suffered great injuries. In fact, over 10,000 Anzacs died at the fierce hand of the war at Gallipoli. Upon their return, Australia has commemorated Anzac Day since the 25th of April 1916, one year after the Anzacs first arrived at Gallipoli. There are many symbols and emblems that you might recognise on Anzac Day. Let's have a look at a few of them. Yum, an Anzac biscuit. It can be fun to help bake these and even more fun to eat around Anzac Day. But it's a bit funny to remember Anzac Day by eating a biscuit, isn't it? Where did they come from? The Anzac biscuit we have today is similar to a type of food many of the Anzac soldiers carried with them. Because they didn't have fridges or shops to get food from, the soldiers needed to eat food that would not go bad over time. Many carried the first Anzac biscuits, which were a substitute for bread. Though they can be a tasty treat, they also help us remember some of the struggles Anzac soldiers went through. Another symbol you might recognise are flowers, such as red poppies or rosemary flowers.
Oh, rosemary flowers.
Red poppies were famously found growing in some of the most brutal locations of World War I, such as northern France and Belgium, after the war had ended. Rosemary flowers symbolise memory and were found scattered throughout the peninsula at Gallipoli. Because these flowers are very symbolic, they are used as a way for us to remember those fallen by war. They can often be seen being laid down in remembrance of fallen soldiers during days such as Anzac Day. The original Anzac Day was significant because not only was it a day to remember and pay respects to the families and friends of those that had died in war, it also played a major part in forming an Australian identity of courage and mateship that is still important today. Whilst the Anzac legend lives on, soldiers from Australia have defended our country in other wars since World War I. This means that when we commemorate Anzac Day, we remember those that have given their lives in service of our country on other occasions as well. There are many ways Anzac Day is commemorated today. Often people will rise for a dawn service. These services are held at dawn each year because this was the same time Anzac soldiers originally arrived on Gallipoli shores.
Oh.
What are some of the other ways we remember those in our past and present who have committed themselves to the service of our country on Anzac Day?
Rest in peace to all those who fought for the country, you know, and give their lives for a better cause, a better world that we live in today. I mean, yeah, that's something people don't think of when you think of like war. And I think I mentioned that in a previous video. The surviving when you go into battle, you gotta eat. I mean, it's something that you when you look at history, no one thinks about being over in another country for months, being in battle with the enemy. No one ever thinks about how did they survive, because if you're out of food and you don't have the energy, how are you gonna be able to you know, fight with not just fight, but to think clearly, because you need energy, you need substance as time goes on, as time goes by. And I think about like water is so important. So sometimes you don't really hear that part in the history, but it's a good question when someone asks. And they relied on this Anzac biscuit that they now call Anzac, right? The biscuit. And it's just so fascinating that there's so many wars that have taken place, and I've never heard them. Because we only think about the big major wars, and there's so many other wars that took place to shape countries of today. And it's so good that I'm going on this journey. I love history, and it's just an eye-opener, and it's something at least I know something new now here, because I'm wondering, what is Anzac Day? I thought it was going to be like maybe like something alongside maybe the independence of Australia or something along those lines. But hey, wow, this was very interesting, very short, but I got some information, some new information now. Yes. If there's any more documentaries, footage that I should know about Anzac, you do so, hit me up in the comments, send me the link, and I'll try my best to check it out. Yeah. If you want to see that long journey that I do, hit me up on Dyce Reacts, where I do music reactions. This way I'm going to be making my exit. So until next time, peace out.